Hey everyone, it's your host Marcus Norman of Gentleman Style Podcast Show. And today I have an incredible lady here, Miss Miracle Sims. She's here on the Gentleman Style Podcast Show. And we're going to have a healthy and nurturing conversation about entrepreneurship, her journey, and the importance of sex in marriage. Miss Sims is a wife, a mother, a faith-driven entrepreneur dedicated to encouraging and inspiring others. With over a decade of creative experience, she now focuses on guiding Christians to resist temptation and cultivate a Christ-centered love. This woman is absolutely phenomenal. She's an author, a host of her own podcast, the God, Sex, Love Talk Show, and a Christian accountability cultivation coach. Miracle helps individuals discover their purpose, their own purpose, grow in faith, and build meaningful relationships rooted in God's principles. And here she is blessing us today on the Gentleman Style Podcast Show to speak into us and speak life into us. So without further ado, help me welcome this incredible speaker, this phenomenal woman to the show, Miss Miracle Sims.
I guess I need to take you everywhere I go, sir. That's a great introduction.
It is all you. You have an extensive resume and an incredible life. You have seen to just radiant entrepreneurship, and you walk so diligently, and I appreciate you for making space and sharing time with us today and giving back in this way. I consider this a form of your entrepreneurship walk, is doing these talks and having these conversations, the hard conversations that some people are not having. It's absolutely paramount that we have these. And I want to just kind of start off with that curveball question. What got you started in entrepreneurship? You could do anything, and you do a lot already, but why entrepreneurship? Why not take the easy route and work a 9-to-5 or work a 9-to-5 job?
Great question. I mean, to be honest, I believe that I grew up watching entrepreneurs, and my mom was an entrepreneur. She ended up a single mom because my father passed away before I was born, and so you know it was me and her for a brief period, and so I watched her have a daycare and things of that nature, and obviously was a part of those different journeys and stuff like that. And so then when she got married again, and so her and my stepfather, who is my dad, the only dad I know, they too started a business together and things like that. So I mean, I just grew up, I guess, around entrepreneurship. So to me, it wasn't anything to be like, I guess, afraid of or anything like that. I mean, now, my main goal, like if you had to talk to me like in middle school and high school, I was thinking about theater, acting, performing, things of that nature. And I would put a great focus on that. I went to college for theater and all of that. I got a chance to work at Walt Disney World, and I was doing that, working 40 hours, doing all that good stuff at that particular time. And I want to say maybe like year 3 or 4 at Disney, I started to feel the shift. I started to feel as if, well, I think I started to get more understanding about my purpose and like what it was that I truly desired from the performance career. Because don't get me wrong, I love to perform, I love to be on stage, I love to, bring characters to life and all of that stuff as well. But for me, I was able to, I grew up pretty much in the 90s and stuff like that. So when you saw like TV and movies and stuff like that, all of those things were great things to aspire to. And then at that particular time, I would notice that an artist would come out or somebody would have a show, and then they would have a business. Like they would start this line and that line, and they would automatically get support based on what them being a known name. And so basically in my 20s, which I call the cultivation period, I think I started to be honest with myself about like what it was that I desired to have. Like, yes, I wanted to act and perform and stuff like that, but it's like, well, Miracle, you really want to be a producer. You really want to like make your own shows and make your own movies, and you really want to like create and direct and things of that nature. And so I think by the time I realized that, I started to focus on doing those things versus feeling like I had to wait to make my name big in order to do it. Everybody has different routes and stuff that they go, but I think that's what kind of got me on the entrepreneurship journey, understanding that, you know what, while I'm waiting for somebody to give me an opportunity as an actor, I could be creating my own opportunities. And so I think it just kind of started from there, where I started to kind of like think of ideas of things that I could do on my own. And it just, I mean, I wish, man, I had the ideas that I have today back then. I think I just had those beginning stages. So there was like, there's so much that I could tell you about the journey. But just to answer that question, yes, I would say that that's what got me on the entrepreneurship track. Witnessing it throughout childhood, but then also realizing that, you know what, I'm not gonna wait for nobody to give me no opportunity. Like at the end of the day, I know what I can do, and I can get out here and do it. And God showed me that I could, and so here I am today.
That makes sense. That makes absolute sense, and it's perfect. You and I have had various experiences and numerous, and I think a differing experience. There weren't a lot of. I didn't even understand what an entrepreneur was growing up.
Mm,
Right? It was. I was conditioned under the stereotype. You work a 9 to 5, you get married, you buy the house, you get the land, and you walk off into the sunset. You get that the college education, the high degree, and that's kind of it, right? End
mhm,
of story. And although entrepreneurship is all around us, they're the ones opening the gas stations, they're the ones opening the supermarkets, they're the ones taking the chance and opening that
mhm,
business. But it never dawned on me that entrepreneurship was a way, another path. And
mhm,
so growing up, entrepreneurship didn't come into my life. And you're so right. I think the cultivation stage is in the 20s. It
mhm,
didn't come into my life until I got into my 20s and I started reading and reading about and learning what these people, who these people were. So I
mhm,
was learning about people like you, right? People like you who are stepping off the beaten path and
mhm,
and cultivating your own. Like from what I understand, you're saying you made your own table, right? You didn't wait for anyone to give it to you. You made a table and made your own path, and so
mhm.
you are unique in that way, and that's powerful.
You know what? And I thought that everybody had that type of thing until I tried to start, helping people. Then I realized that, oh, I guess everybody don't have that tenacity or that like you can do it. Like I guess I thought like maybe if you had somebody in your corner to say, hey, you can do it, then maybe people would go forth with their idea or things they want to do. But I'm learning that that's not the case. But that's a whole nother conversation. Um, but yes, I'm right there with you. And there's nothing wrong. Don't get me wrong. There's nothing wrong with 9 to 5. There's nothing wrong with people that want to work the jobs. I mean, my husband's that way. I've been trying to talk to him about different entrepreneurial endeavors, especially when he talks about, wanting more income or whatever the case may be. I'm like, there's lots of ways to make money. Like we just got, I think for some reason, we tend to think less than on, alternative ways, if that makes sense. And I'm not talking about like illegal or nothing like that, but I'm talking about like, you can make money dog walking. You know what I'm saying? Like there's all kinds of opportunities out there if quote unquote making money is your goal. But you can find things that you enjoy. And I think that's the thing about even job wise, I always went for, things that align with what I wanted to do. So a lot of my jobs, if you look at my regular resume, not my performance resume, if you look at my regular resume,
Or
all those
IMDb.
things, yeah, like all these resumes, all these different things. But if you look at the regular one, you would see that majority of my jobs kind of centered around entertainment in some aspect or some type of performance or something like that. Now, there might have been a couple of jobs that I did, which might not even be on the resume, but that, didn't have anything to do with acting or performing in some capacity. But I'm like, okay, I got a degree in theater. At the end of the day, there's like you can go on Indeed and look for performance jobs, and that's what I did, and I found different opportunities. I mean, I was doing like in-store infomercials at one point, just all these different type of things that are out there and available. So you don't have to think less than of it for some reason. I feel like sometimes people think like, oh well, if it's not making this much, or I don't know what other people think and whatnot, but to me, I'm like, I enjoy doing what I do. I love it. I enjoy, you know, I rather enjoy it, right? Versus just being like, there was a job that I took, I want to say maybe like, once I transitioned back here to Georgia. And there was a brief moment where I kind of just took a job just to do it. And I hated it. Like, it just, and it wasn't. not that it was just so terrible or something, but I just, every time I went to do it, I felt like, oh, like stifled, or you know what I mean? Like it just didn't feel right or good or whatever. And so like I said, again, it wasn't that the place was horrible or anything, but it just was like, I'd rather do something that I love and enjoy rather than just go and just do something for money. And but that's me, you know what I'm saying? That's me, creative, person that wants to like use my gifts and stuff like that. I mean, some people just, they don't want to think about all of that. They just want to go and do their job and give their 40 out, whatever the case may be. So God made all kinds of different people out here. So, no shade to nobody that, if that's you, great. You know what I'm saying? But that was not me. That wasn't me.
For sure. I want to stay here for one more minute, and I want to dive in. And I feel like entrepreneurship is glorified too much, a little bit, and too much in today's culture, where people
Mm,
think it's easy, right? They look at you, they look at the others, they look at the Grant Cardones, and they look at the person with the Lamborghini and the young lady
mhm.
in the Maserati, and it's glorified to say, hey, let me show you how to 10x your income. Let me show you how to quit your 9 to 5 tomorrow. And to a certain degree, do you feel that? Do you sense that? That entrepreneurship is a little bit too glorified in the sense that it gives people this false impression that you could do it, I could do it. I don't think it's for everybody.
Yeah, like I said earlier, yeah, I definitely agree that I'm finding that it's not it's not for everybody. But not even just that though. I think you're right. Like people are like you said, glorifying it or making it seem like it's so easy. The difference between, I guess, a 9 to 5 person is, they get to turn off their job or, at 5 o'clock, whatever the case may be. Entrepreneur wise, you might be doing something all day. You know what I'm saying? Now, hopefully it's something you love and enjoy because then you don't mind it. But, it can be like, like literally today is so funny, but long story short, I don't want to get too deep into it. I do work part time at the church I go to right now, and I'm doing a lot of creative things. I'm working in the youth ministry and stuff, and like so, outside of the things I did with my son, it was like taking all these hours to create. Like we're working on kids camp and creating scripts, and you know what I mean. Like this is hours of like work. You know what I mean? Like it's not. And don't get me wrong, like I enjoy it and stuff. But what I'm saying is that it is work, and that's why I do appreciate my spouse because he does understand those things. I know that I was in that little transition period that I told you at the end of what I call the cultivation period, my time in Florida. Um, I was starting to get into that, into where I'm at today in the mindset. And one of the things I was noticing at that time was that I was spending a lot of time on my computer. Like I'm making my website. I'm trying to find opportunities as an actor. I'm trying to audition. I'm doing all these things. And to somebody from the outside looking in, I kind of imagine like, what do I look like to somebody? I look like I'm just on a computer all day, or I look like I'm just on the phone all day. Now, again, being with my husband, he supports and everything. He understands. So, and he sees the fruit from me spending those hours on the phone or spending those hours on the computer. But, but for someone else looking at, from the outside looking in, they'll be like, oh, you're lazy, or you're just sitting there on the computer, or you're not even doing anything or whatever. Like, because they don't understand the work that's being put in on the back end. Like you'll see the show, right, that I end up putting out, or you'll see, this or that, you'll see that. And you'll be like, oh, you're doing your thing. But you didn't see all the hours of prep. You didn't see all the hours of like finding opportunities or networking or, communicating with people or whatever the case may be. So, I mean, it's pros and cons. There are definitely pros and cons to being an entrepreneur. And I wouldn't say it's easy, but I think what makes it easier is one being, your God given purpose. I feel like that's one thing that makes it easier. And then two, it being something that you love and enjoy, because
So
then it don't feel like work at the end of the day.
absolutely. Miss Miracle Sims, y'all. Killing it. She killing it. Killing it. Miss Sims, I'm thoroughly enjoying this conversation, and I really want to point out a hard truth, and I want to ask a question for me, and I'll answer my own question for me and give my example. Entrepreneurship I find it very rewarding if it's something you love, like you said,
Mhm.
if it's something you love, it's something you enjoy, something you love spending time on. So those long hours putting in and creating those scripts for the kids and doing stuff with the youth pays off spiritually and emotionally, right?
Yeah. Mhm.
Sometimes, right? It's not
Mhm.
always dollars and cents. And I want to say that for people listening
Mm-hmm.
into this conversation. But have I know for me, I have lost friends in entrepreneurship.
Mm,
I have lost people. I've lost family members. I've
mm,
lost relationships that I held a little bit closer to the chest than I should have. Has
mm.
that ever happened to you in your entrepreneurship journey where it negatively affected your personal relationships or even your mental health?
Has it?
It has not?
No, I mean, no, yes, it definitely has.
Oh,
It definitely has. And but see, I don't know if it was necessarily just entrepreneurship or if it was just like again walking in your purpose and like doing what God tell you to do. Like that's gonna separate some stuff, like relationships, all that type of stuff. Like you got to stand on the word and stuff like that. And then people, they want to disconnect and stuff. So I've definitely had people, that I cared about. I felt to be like sisters, brothers, friend. That's how I felt about the relationships, but they could easily ghost me. Like there's people that I still don't know like what even happened, you know, and stuff like that. And I think about them, and when I do, I get kind of on one hand I get frustrated because I'm like, Lord, why I gotta keep thinking. About these people, they ain't thinking about me. But then
right,
on the other hand, I just try to pray and just be like, maybe they came on my mind to pray for them or whatever. Like I don't know what they're going through. We don't talk no more, all that type of stuff. But yeah, I definitely have had, I guess lost, like you said, those relationships, friendships. I wouldn't say necessarily I've lost family, but I do have to, I feel like distance myself. Cause that's a whole story too. But basically, long story short, I feel like in order for me to be who God called me to be, I think people have expectations on you that ain't what God has for you. And so because of that, it's like I have to try to like, make sure that I'm, doing what I'm supposed to be doing and stuff like that. And everybody may not agree with that. They might not like that. Sometimes I have to say no, all these things I've been, working on more and more as I becoming more of an adult. I'm almost 40 now, but what I'm saying is that,
right.
the more I grow, learn all this type of stuff, now that I'm a wife, mom, all this, it's like, sometimes I gotta say no, and I'm gotta learn to be okay with that. You know what I mean? Like, and and again, people should understand boundaries, right? People should understand all those things. And then sometimes people don't. So, like you said, people will fall away if they don't, or if they're not in alignment with, I guess, where God is taking you. So, um, again, I could go on and on about this topic as well, but I'm just going I'm just going to say yes, sir. Um, I've definitely been there. Definitely have lost a few people along the way, but I'm learning that maybe they weren't supposed to be there. Maybe they were not supposed to go on the journey with me. Um, it's sad, I would say, sometimes, because you think like, man, I was thinking like, we were talking about the vision, and I thought both of us would be here together, and all this type of stuff. And but what it's done for me is it's made me appreciate those people that are there, like, even more. And so shout out to those people, you know what I'm saying? Shout out to the individuals that get me, my ups, my downs. They allow me to be me, and all those different type of things. And the feeling is mutual. Like you could feel the mutual respect, the mutual appreciation for one another as friends or co-workers or whatever it is. And so, um, yeah, I miss the people that aren't here, but at the same time, I try to show my gratitude and love on the people that are.
Have you ever had to hold back in a conversation because the person you were speaking to, friend or family, wasn't prepared to handle what you were about to say, or a situation where you're having a success, you
Mm,
and you want to celebrate with this individual. You had success in business or something in one of your businesses or one of the industries. You had a huge acting job that you really wanted, and they called you back and told you you got the part, or another success in your entrepreneurship journey, and you're holding back because maybe that family member or that person want to ask you for money. Maybe they want to, ask you, you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah,
have you ever found that you've had to hold back something about your journey because the person wasn't ready to handle it?
for sure, definitely. I think now I haven't well, I was about to say I haven't had too many money asking people, but I mean I had a few. Um, but
Right.
no, it's more so about, well, I think that's wisdom as well to, like, I just say move in silence, but like understand like who you can share what with and all that type of stuff. So yeah, so there has been conversations or people that I've had to, I know who is going to celebrate me regardless of what, right? And I know who maybe I shouldn't talk about this right now or whatever. So I definitely have had those moments as well. And I mean, I don't have anything else to say other than like it's just wisdom and discernment to know who to talk to about what and when and all those different type of things. And some people, like you say, they're not ready for to hear whatever, even if it's about them though. You know what I mean? Like even if it's a growth thing and all of that. Like I try to again, say truth and love and all these different type of things. Like I'm never, at least not to my recollection. I don't know. You could probably hit up people that know me or whatever. But I mean, I don't think I'm the type of person that'll be like tiff or tat or, or like making someone feel bad about their position or whatever the case may be. For me, it's like no judgment at the end of the day. Like if I'm pointing something out or if I'm, but I've noticed that, yeah, I tend to do that with people that I know can handle it. And then the ones that I can't handle it, I try to find better ways or more kinder ways or, other ways to express the things that they need to know if they need to know it from me. But yeah, yeah, I've all those scenarios I've been there to some capacity, and it's difficult, but at the same time, it's best, like I said, using discernment, knowing who to talk to about what.
That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah.
I told y'all, Miracle Sims here on the
I
Gentleman
gotta
Style
get
podcast today. She's spilling the tea and sharing wisdom, y'all. This is true, profound wisdom. I love this
yeah.
conversation. This is powerful. I want to talk. I want to blend the two together now. I want to talk about faith and in your journey, and
Mm.
there's definitely ups to entrepreneurship and then there's downs. How has your faith played a role in your journey as you go through your entrepreneurship path and you walk this out every single day of your life?
Man, listen. Well, first we gotta just thank God for grace and mercy, right? Because He gives us time, right, to figure stuff out and things of that nature. And so, and that's why I try to give grace and mercy to other people and whatnot as well. Even though sometimes I'm like, I just want you to get there. Come on, let's get there. I'm here. Let's go. I'm here cheering you on. But at the same time, sometimes it's a journey. So my journey for me when it comes to faith and yes, entrepreneurship as well was just surrendering piece by piece, right? The more I saw God moving, the more I'm like, wait, let me try this then. Okay, well, let me trust you with that then. Okay, then what about this then? And then here I am today, like, man, I'm just basking in the, I guess like they say, overflow or the blessings or whatever of just, walking by faith or just taking that step, and just doing the thing, right? So yeah, I think again, maybe you have to be like me and just trust God with a little piece at a time. Hopefully you get the time, right, to do that. Now, some people may not have that time. So that's my other thing as well. Like sometimes we think we got time and we don't. So stop playing around and wasting time and but that's a whole nother conversation. But I've been trying to, I know there's definitely certain people that over the years I've tried to be like, man, okay, it's been years now. Like, come on, let's do something different, but hey, again, everybody's on their own journey and stuff like that. As long as we got another day and, we have another opportunity, we still breathing, things like that, then you got an opportunity to, try again and things of that nature. I just don't want to get to the point, at least for me, personally, I just don't want to get to the point where I'm procrastinating on the things that God told me to do and then I don't have time to do it. So that I think motivates me to, I feel like it's very important, the different things that God has me doing, right? So, um, and I feel like again, not only it's for me, but I understand it is for other people. And that was another thing that motivated me as well to know that okay, somebody's waiting for you to do what God told you to do. So if they waiting on me, I gotta, you know what I mean? I gotta get there, and stuff like that. And so, but those things may not be motivating to everybody, I've come to find that. So what I'm saying is that, definitely go your own journey and take your time, trust God piece by piece if you have to, things like that. Cause I had to do it that route as well. But, all I can say is the more that I have leaned upon on God and just walked on the path that He created for me, the more at peace I am, the more content I am, and the more fulfilled I feel. And so now I'm just out here like, hey, like, look, y'all, this is all I did. And look, just trust them, just do it. And I know it sounds so cliche, as they say, but that's all I'm doing. Let's walk in my faith, trusting the Lord and saying, okay, Lord, well, if it's not that, then what is it? Okay, this door open, great. Let me walk on in.
Yes, ma'am.
That's where I'm at in my life today, and I'm at peace about it. I'm content, and I feel like that is definitely growth for me, because I was somebody that was always reaching, going for the next goal. Okay, I got this show, but okay, I need to audition for something else. I was always doing that and not feeling content, not feeling fulfilled, feeling like something was missing. All those different things, all those years ago. Like I said, yes, the cultivation period. And so, now I don't feel that. You know what I mean? I don't feel that stress and stuff like that. There's different stresses, of course, but like not that. Contentment and all that type of stuff is a beautiful place to be. And
Yes,
I'm like,
ma'am.
Lord, can I stay here? I
Yes,
want to stay.
ma'am. You remind me of a quote that I remember hearing, and it says that you I always want to do the thing that's been put on my heart, and I never want to be standing in front of the pearly gates in front of God and feeling unfulfilled, feeling like I left something on the table, right?
Mm,
You
mm,
want he and that quote, and the person that said it said, I want to know that I put everything out there, everything that God put in me,
mm-hmm,
that I did it. And I left this world completely empty and never leaving anything left in the tank, because it was all out there. That we were
mm-hmm,
all put on. The most powerful thing is another quote is the two most important points in a person's life is the day they were born and the day they figure out why. And so
mm,
when you were speaking just now, that those things came to mind. You don't want to feel empty. I do not want to sit here and leave anything on the table, left any stone unturned. I did it all. I got it all out, God. I did it. And I did it because you put it in me to do. And
mm-hmm,
someone else is waiting for me. Someone else is suffering for me. Someone else is not being served and not being helped and not being touched because I'm unfaithful. I'm not
mm-hmm,
loyal. I was disobedient. And so
mm-hmm,
those are the things I can imagine you don't want to sit there and answer for in front of God. Hey, I put this in you. Why did you
mm-hmm,
not do that thing I asked you to do? I don't know,
yeah,
God. It was Tuesday, my
mm-hmm,
stomach was hurting. I didn't,
yeah.
you don't want to
Mm-hmm.
do that. So powerful, powerful, powerful. I-
Yeah, I mean, I guess just to piggyback on that, yeah, I mean, like I said, one of my quotes for, I guess, for myself was always like, I want to use all my gifts and things like that. And so, but aside from that, like you said, yeah, like I said, the importance of someone else's journey connected to mine, and being in obedience and doing what I'm supposed to do. Um, yeah, I mean, again, it's like you said, purpose is just one of those things where I think until you're actually doing it and living it, then you're always going to have that empty void. And I think that's even the God sized hole as well. Like if you try to fill that in with other things outside of God, like you're always going to feel that too. So um again, another thing to go on and on about. Let me go and let you do your show, bro.
No,
Yeah.
you're incredible. I want to ask for a little bit of transparency here. Can you share something that was really difficult, just a point in your entrepreneurship journey, a failure almost in your entrepreneurial journey, and something that sticks out to you and you learned from it and you were able to recover from it, and something that you still carry with you, and it has now guided you, because those lessons are profound, right? Is
Mm,
you can't, if you win at everything you don't learn anything, right?
mm,
And so
mhm,
it's our mistakes that we make along the way as to why you now mentor, why you now teach. Your teachers are not teaching because of all the wins they've had. You share the wins and people see the wins. They see your films, they see your movies, they see you acting, they see your author, they read your books. Those are wins, but those wins came from losses. And so can you
mhm.
share a failure that you had in your entrepreneurship journey that has stuck by you and that you recovered from and people can learn from?
Oh man, well, there's quite a few. But I guess one thing that comes into my mind is, I guess, I've always been told that I'm quote unquote too nice, right? I've been told that I'm maybe naive or too trusting, or all these different words that I've heard about myself over the years. And I think people may have used that, I guess, like they say, kindness as weakness, things like that. Now I've witnessed a lot of people, and it's so funny because we got this little comedy movie that me and my friend made. We played all the characters. We got our Eddie Murphy on. I played 5 women. He played 5 men.
What?
We're the whole movie. It's a little funny thing. It wasn't supposed to be that way originally, but it was like, look, we're gonna use what we got, and so we did. um, but anyway, I bring that up because that movie is kind of, it was like based on a lot of different people that I had observed. Like I observed like different directors, especially writer directors, and I worked with quite a few over the years and whatnot. And I noticed some people would have that attitude, or that like I'm the boss, or that whole thing, and I've never necessarily been that way. And I think that's something that people can take advantage of. Like, cause I try to go out of my way to like make sure that I'm like, okay, because I've been that actor with unpaid work and stuff like that, I try my best to at least pay something. You know what I mean? All these different type of things. So if I talk about one particular situation, I feel like, uh, well, something to learn from basically is, I learned about this thing called overpayment fraud.
Mm.
I didn't know anything about it, you know what I'm saying, at that particular time when the situation happened. So I had my entertainment business, and at the time I was doing like mystery shows and stuff like that. And I had what I thought was a client reaching out to me about quotes and all this type of stuff, and they're talking about like a huge amount of people and stuff like that. And at that particular time, um, that the type of money that they were talking about was kind of like a new thing, because I was like, Lord, we've been praying for great big money, you know what I mean, or whatever, bigger opportunities. But the amount of people in the show itself and all that type of stuff wasn't that like far fetched. So when they were reaching out to me about doing the show, for example, I'm thinking like, this is a great opportunity, great, you know what I mean? 100 people at your party, great. This is what the rate is, da 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 da, and they're sending me funds. But then they asked me to, they wanted to use a specific vendor for their transportation or whatever it was, and they wanted me to, I guess, manage it or whatever. And I'm like, it's usually no problem to, because I outsource for vendors about different things. So all of this stuff is like regular stuff to me. You know what I mean? With the exception of like, I usually don't coordinate like getting the guests there to the shows. But at the same time, I'm like, I'm not opposed to doing it. If you're going to pay me to do it, then whatever, you know what I'm saying? I'll coordinate, oh, you want to use this particular one. Well, lo and behold, I guess that, I don't know where the funds came from, but they made their deposit. And so I started putting deposits down on the spaces and doing all the stuff that I usually do. And then they were getting ready to send me another payment so I can be able to do it on, get their transportation set up and all that type of stuff. And we're doing that. And at some point, the app kind of flagged everything. And I'm like, okay, and it was getting close to the date. And I'm like, so until we get your balance, like, we're not going to be able to do the show, because the deposit that was paid was given to your vendor, for your travel or whatever it was. And then also given to the venue, and stuff to get your show together. You know what I'm saying? So really, my cut or whatever would have been in the balance, and stuff like that. And so that was a situation, I guess, me learning about this way that people take advantage of people, and stuff. And I know that, I had to deal with the creditors calling me, and I'm over here like, I don't have any of those funds. Like, at the end of the day, like, all I can do is give you the place that I sent the funds, and I can just do that. But outside of that, like, I was taken advantage of too here. I lost too here. You know what I mean? Like, so because I had I had everything lined up to do this performance for these people, and obviously it wasn't a real thing or whatever. So, and I don't know where they got the money from. I don't know any of that type of stuff, but it just was crazy. So I think that like that's one of the crazy things that's happened as an entrepreneur. Like, people will find ways to take advantage of you. They will overpay you apparently to take advantage of you. Like, so I don't know if that's familiar, if other people are familiar with that particular fraud or whatever, but I wasn't at that time. And so it shocked me that like that was the way that people, take advantage of entrepreneurs. And so the person kept testing or whatnot and acting like they still was a real client or whatever. And I'm like, you know what? I don't know why you did what you did to me and my business, But I just made my last. I didn't curse him out or nothing like that, but I just was like, I'm gonna end this conversation or whatever because it seems like you're not who you say you are. Or I don't know what's going on with all this. So I was ending the conversation, but. Who knows? Maybe all that happened just so I can sit here and talk to you today and let you know that, hey, overpayment fraud is a thing, y'all. Like, I don't know. But, that's still something I think that, I think back on definitely. And, yeah,
What
wasn't
would
the
you
best
do?
situation.
What would you do differently now that you had that experience? What was the lesson that has now, that you operate on another level now?
I mean, so I already do the posits and stuff like that. Like all of those things were supposed to be like the things that kind of buffer things. Like, okay, is this a real gig? Can you pay me a deposit? That stuff was supposed to buffer some of that stuff out. But apparently not. Again with this overpayment fraud situation. But what would I do differently about that? Would probably be maybe like because we were doing a lot of phone and email at that particular time. So maybe I would have done some maybe let's meet in person or something like I'm not even sure, honestly, at the moment right
Sure.
now, because, that's one of those things, not to say I try to block it out of my mind, but like thinking back on it now, like I don't even know, like I think, because I was asking questions of people that dealt with those type of funds that we were talking about. I was kind of talking to them and they were kind of making me feel like, people that I know, other entrepreneurs, whatever, and they were making me feel like, oh, that sounds legit or whatever as well. So, again, I know that somehow people, you know, operate and do business with all types of money, where you're like, somebody if it's small or starting out, you're like, what? You want a $2,000 show, or whatever, for example, versus, and it doesn't sound that crazy because, you're like, okay, yeah, because I'm doing dinner, I'm doing the actors, I'm doing like, that makes sense, or for example, whatever, maybe I should say a more crazy number, like 5,000 or something, like, you know what I mean? Like, you get that opportunity as a small entrepreneur, you're thinking that you're getting to the next level and stuff like that. And it's not that foreign when you are gradually growing to those numbers and stuff like that. So I think just maybe if it's sounding too astronomical or something like that, maybe be a little bit more wary and try to like maybe look into the people a little bit more and stuff like that, and confirm that people who they say they are and all that type of stuff.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I can think of at the moment.
Yeah, that's real. That's so real. It's so real. I remember being approached about a business venture years ago. This is years ago, and the girl was like, "Yeah, I'm doing this. This is a setup, and everything sounds legit, right?" And
Hmm.
then, like you said, when it comes down to exchanging money, the type of money she was asking for was pretty up there, and
Hmm.
so I naturally throw out, let's set up a lunch and get to talking about it and seeing it on paper. And
Hmm.
that's when she started to disappear on the conversation. Right? You're talking
Hmm.
about large sums of money and doing this business venture and taking investors. And I'm saying let's have a discussion outside of social media and talking on
Hmm.
the phone. This
Yeah.
if this is real,
Hmm.
let's meet in person. And then she didn't want to do that. So that
Yeah.
was kind of a thing for me, is like, and if you, and when I read and when I listen to other investors, that's what they do. Let's meet in person. Let's get
Yeah.
on a Zoom call. Let's talk about
Hmm.
this. Give me some references. So
Hmm.
powerful, powerful that you said that. Yeah.
And then at the same time, that's really good that you mentioned that as well. It just made me think too, as a woman too, it's kind of difficult when you're, in certain conversations and stuff, and then who knows if I meet up with this person, So I mean, but we can always Zoom. We can always find a way to, have those meetings and stuff, and it's very important. Do so in the whatever safe way you can, people whoever's watching and listening. But they shouldn't have no problem meeting up. If they want to pay you the money or they want to get paid or whatever it is, then you know, yeah.
Facts. Facts. Hashtag facts. Speaking of getting paid, y'all, we have to go to a quick commercial break. Don't go anywhere. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Baby Gear Services DMV specializes in high quality baby gear rentals in the Maryland and DC metro area. We have a wide range of baby gear items for rent, including wooden cribs, car seats, high chairs, and more. We also offer seasonal specials and free delivery. Our prices are very versatile to cover every budget. Wooden cribs start at $17 a day, high chairs and even car seats start at $5 a day. Check out our website, www.bgsdmv.com.
Hey guys, this is your boy Marcus Norman of Gentleman Style Podcast Show, and we are here in Patrick Henry Mall, Newport News, Virginia. We're actually here for something unique just inside. Something new, brand new that we want to explore together. You guys ready? All right, here we go. Hey, boss. Heard you were an athlete, man. See you at the mall every day. We are at Patrick Henry Mall, living up, and we are talking about CBD. But first off, the normal thing that we all deal with is joint pain, back pain, suffer from everything.
Neck pain too.
Neck pain? You got some neck pain?
All the time, man. I'm getting up in age, you know what I'm saying? We're not young no more.
I'm with you. I'm totally with you. Bruh, CBD helps with the exact same thing. Neck pain, back pain, joint pain, all the pains, everywhere pain, right? And so that's what CBD does. That's what we're here to help you and me do. Thank you, brother. I appreciate you.
Thank you for your time.
Absolutely.
All right.
CBD is one of the most powerful cannabinoids because all it's focused on is the health and wellness. We're talking helping people with anxiety, depression, insomnia, sleep deprivation, all provided. CBD works with the natural mechanics of your body without the crazy side effects of Western medicine. So these products are here to actually align your body and get it back right so we can actually have a better quality of life. And that's what CBD does.
I'm Marcus Norman, bringing fresh vibes to hot topics surrounding culture, relationships, business, finance, sex, dating, faith, and everything in between. Whether you're into passive income opportunities, trending topics and useful relationship tips, or dynamic guest speakers, there's something for everyone. You can expect all that and more every week. If you're down with this content, then consider joining our growing community by subscribing to Gentleman Style Podcast and smash the bell to get on our VIP list. Your support means the world. Thanks for watching. Link to my channel.
We are back on the Gentleman Style Podcast Show. And we have a very, very special lady today. Her name is Miracle Sim. She's on the Gentleman Style Podcast Show, and she's spilling the tea on entrepreneurship, her journey, her walk, and how she's handled adversity on her walk in the entrepreneurship journey, relationships, dating, family, friends, loved ones, and everything in between. If you missed any of what she's going to scroll back, go back and check her out. She's absolutely phenomenal, and she is here helping us peel back the onions, and we're going to dive deep into now. She has the incredible podcast, God, Sex, Love. And so I want to ask you about your show and what it is you are doing in the world and changing the world and helping us with your talk show.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, look, first of all, shout out to you. I see you out here. You know what I'm saying? Go, bro.
Thank you.
All those commercials is good, you know. GSL, man, God, Sex, and Love. Okay, so this was a passion project that has been on my heart and mind for years. Okay, it started off with young 20-something-year-old Miracle, single, living on my own. Like I said, I was in Florida at that particular time. You know, I was, doing my job, I was living on my own in my apartment, all this different type of stuff, doing my thing, but then also feeling like, man, something's missing. Is it love? Is the relationship part? Like, is that what part is missing? And then seeking the Lord about like, why haven't I met my husband yet? And I'm horny and all the stuff, you know what I mean? Like, I have to be real about that particular part because it's a whole journey and stuff. But what I'm saying is that, as a Christian woman, growing up, knowing the right things to do, right? I've been taught, my mom's evangelist, all this good stuff, I know what I'm supposed to be doing, but at the same time, if you learn more about me and my journey and story in life and whatnot, then you know that I feel like, long story short, the enemy tried to plant some seeds in my youth, and then my mom was planting those seeds, of biblical wisdom, things like that in my youth. And so obviously we know both will grow until you weed the other one out and stuff like that. But that's a whole, again, of conversation. But what I'm saying is that, so I found myself in my 20s just really struggling with being single, struggling with like, I want to honor the Lord and all this different type of stuff, but I want what I want as a woman and all this type of stuff. And I'm not seeing my husband around me, but wondering like, where is he? And, all the questions that you have as a single Christian woman in particular, but I think single Christians may have all been there. If you all may know what I'm talking about, right? And so at that particular time, as I was seeking the Lord, because see, sometimes when people think that way, they don't seek the Lord, and then they go off and they do their things and stuff like that, and you deal with those consequences, right? But then if you seek the Lord, then He gonna answer your questions. And so that's what I was doing at that particular time. And one of the things that got me on this path was, or to seek the Lord more or deeper about this was, I was going to a particular church at that time. Shout out to God's House Orlando. And Pastor Sammy got up one Sunday, and he shared in his sermon, when you make God's wants your wants, you're going to get what you want. And I'm like, well, Lord, okay. And so that was the first time I pretty much asked the Lord, what is it that you want? Because I thought, you know what I'm saying? I was, I thought it was, the performing and acting and stuff like that. Like I thought it was all those things. But like I told you earlier, you're trying to fill that God-sized hole with all the rest of the stuff. You're still going to feel the emptiness and the, on all of that. And so I'm like, well, I thought I was, on the path and stuff like that, but what is it that you want? Maybe I'm not, where I'm supposed to be or whatever. And so, even though I felt like I was ready for marriage and all that type of stuff at that particular time, I think that's when I got deeper into the word. And long story short, I felt like it was a mirror that showed me that, hey, okay, so you say you're ready for marriage, you say you're ready for love, all this type of stuff. Well, you need to work on this, like, and those things were like things like, I wasn't doing a whole lot of dating and things like that, but I was kind of fooling around and stuff like that, like trying not to have sex, but like trying to find those loopholes, you know what I mean? I was just trying to keep it real, y'all. I mean, I was doing all that. And so, so I was looking at myself in the mirror, like, you know what? Okay, you say you want love, you want marriage, you want consistency, these are the things you want, but is this what you're doing, right? Is this what you are, I guess, presenting when you are, interacting with these guys and whatnot? Even one time, I feel like me and God has a sense of humor. So the humor that I have, I feel like He talked to me in a way. And so there was one time that I was just really frustrated about my situation. And I was like, asking all these questions. Why this? Why that? Why this? And then I felt in my spirit, the Lord be like, you ask me more questions than you ask the dudes you deal with. And I'm like, you're right. So it was a whole thing in the cultivation period. Like I said, I wrote all about it in my book, The Cultivation Period, A Single Christian's Journey. I was working on that at that particular time. It wasn't called that then, it was called something else, but that's a whole thing too. But anyway, so long story short, it started there, right? Single woman, wanted to please God, wanted what I want, that type of stuff. So I'm looking on, YouTube and places, just to try to get some encouragement, things like that. And what I found at that particular time was that Christians would have these shows and conversations, but then they would only go so far, and I couldn't relate because I'm over here like, y'all ain't talking about what you do when you be horny and like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I know not to, and I know all that, but what I'm saying is that, like, is anybody else out there feeling like me? Because I feel like I'm alone right now, and and all this. And then I would go and watch like what they call like, regular talk shows or the secular shows. And of course they talk about everything, but they're telling me what I need to hear as a believer. Right. And so, and then they would be like, oh, we got this Christian person on the show too, or whatever. But then I noticed they would overtalk that person. And I'm like, I want to hear what you got to say, and stuff like that. And so that kind of encouraged me to just get online and I just pulled out my camera and throw up videos on YouTube just saying, hey, and my first video, I just wanted to rip the Band-Aid off with saying the word sex. I'm like, look. I was like, as a Christian woman, and, if I'm not thinking about something in particular, if I'm not having a conversation or if I'm not doing some work or something like that, I'm either thinking about God, I'm thinking about sex, or I'm thinking about my career. And, and all that stuff is difficult when you're trying to honor God, but at the same time you're thinking about sex, but you're not really supposed to have it at that time. It's a whole thing, right? And I was talking about all of that, but then I came back in my second video. All of this stuff is still up on YouTube, y'all, so y'all can see me with a little fro in my apartment at that particular time talking about all this stuff. But I came back to it because I would realize that I'm like, okay, when I said sex, I just wanted to go ahead and say it because I feel like Christians don't say it or they don't address it, whatever. But what I mean is, I mean, like love, relationship, all of that is in my mind was entwined with sex. And so I was thinking about all of those things at that time. And so I think eventually, long story short, again, um, when God had started giving me this vision, I guess, for a talk show, which I thought was going to be completely different from the way I'm doing it now. But hey, this talk show concept, and I changed the name, or I changed what I said from God, sex to career to God, sex and love, because I kind of split sex and love in my mind finally, because it was so intertwined where I don't know how else to say it other than like I was thinking about sex and love at the same time, like they were the same thing. Um,
Right.
and it's better when they are together. Don't get me wrong, you know what I mean, under the covenant of marriage. But what I'm saying is that like I had to split it in my mind to understand that love doesn't necessarily equate sex. And sex. Yeah, it's a whole thing.
Absolutely.
Anyway,
You're right.
I think you understand what I'm saying. So I split the two, and so I feel like it flowed with the show. Now, apparently, that's all controversial. I got people still clutching their pearls. Christians trying to tell me I need to change the name, but I'm like, look, we 5 years. You know, we just had a 5 year anniversary. I'm not changing the name. At the end of the day, like God, sex, and love is my testimony, and I'm not going to apologize for that no more. Like, like he used those things. He used the desires of my heart to draw me near to him, and it helped me to understand that it wasn't necessarily um the love and relationship and stuff that I was missing and desiring, but it was like that relationship with Christ was what was truly missing. And so and then once I was building that, then ultimately that helped me to get ready for to become a wife, mentally, and all these different type of things. And so I'm living the fruits, I guess you would say, today. But at that time it was a difficult journey. But here I am, man. And so the platform itself was created to just be a safe space to just come and talk about whatever, like you said, everything in between. Like, if people go to the channel, they'll see that even the talk show, it's not necessarily all about sex or whatever. Like, I have to actually just put a playlist together that this is the sex content if you're looking for that. But, I do talk to a lot of entrepreneurs or just people, we just have regular conversations and stuff like that. But just making a space where it's okay to talk about the ups and downs of being a believer, or to talk about sex itself, or any of those things, so people don't feel like, because again, people, I think they clutch their pearls at hearing God and sex together, but at the end of the day, he made it, in my humble opinion, according to the Bible. So what I'm saying is, the issue is we keep him out of the conversation, and then we see the fruits of that everywhere. It's all around us. Like, honestly, the sex conversation needs to be had more in Christian spaces, because again, we see just as much issues in the Christian space as we do in the quote unquote world. Like, there's divorces, there's, families broken, all these different type of things. And it boils down to, I won't say everything is about sex, but what I'm saying is that sex plays a big part in issues. And so that's the beginning stages. But yeah, like just creating that safe space for people to come in. We've had so many people come and share their testimonies and be open, honest, and transparent about so many different things, especially when it comes to the sex conversation, from like human trafficking survivors to, ex LGBT to, and all these things have something to do with sex. You know what I mean? And so, just ripping the band-aid off for those that needed to be ripped. So you're welcome.
You're so true. I no, I am so grateful for you. I'm so grateful for you because you are speaking to something that is lacking in the religious and spiritual community. And
Mm,
you and I are of the same minds. I started Gentleman Style Podcast for the same reason. And I also talk about sex, and I've
mm,
interviewed sex experts on the show. Just like
yeah.
you said, I watched a famous pastor, and he just said it. He just said it very plainly. In the beginning, God created all things. And if he
Mm,
created all things, that means he created sex. But oftentimes we don't talk about sex in the Christian church, or most faiths don't bring it up. It's not talked about. Parents are not talking about it at home. They're not having the discussions with their young ones early enough. And they're
mm,
letting the media, and they're letting television, and letting movies and songs teach them
mm-hmm.
about something that the church should be at the forefront. At
Yeah.
least in my mind, we should be
Mhm.
talking about it and bringing it up, because like you said, there are thousands and millions of people looking for the conversation. When are we going to talk about this? when
Mhm.
when are we going to talk about these emotions and these feelings and these urges that I'm having, and we're avoiding it? We're
And then
skipping over it.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry. I guess we on my thing now. I'm jumping in. I'm sorry. No, I just wanted to, well, one, agree with what you're saying, but then also just can we put it on the table that it's not bad and it's not wrong? Because I think the issue is that we're doing it out of God's, like, the way He wants it to be done. Like, it needs to be in marriage, the marriage covenant, man and female, that type of thing. Like, but sex itself is not a bad taboo thing. So let's stop acting like sex itself is bad. You know what I mean? And understand that, okay, there's a difference. Because, I've had someone come on the show and they talk about, they got a real issue with, I guess, what they call purity culture. Now, I didn't necessarily experience what I guess she experienced, growing up, but I'm familiar about people taking, like, their purity rings and, whatever. I never, did any of that type of stuff. I guess it was, I don't know if it was a Midwest thing. I don't know, but people take a lot of issue with that because then I guess they focus on, like, the girls, and then, so women or whatever are growing up feeling as if, they're trying to stay virgins or whatever the case may be, or they're, trying to remain pure, all these different type of things. And so they feel like it's this bad thing. So by the time they do get married, they don't know what to, not just because you don't know what to do, but it's like it feels wrong and bad. And like I still have moments, like, even though I didn't go through that, but I still have moments to kind of, I have to, like, just work through my stuff to understand that, what, Miracle, this is not, bad or wrong or something. Like, this is how God made you and stuff like that. And I guess having the desire and all that type of stuff isn't bad or wrong either. It's having self-control, right? Is doing it God's way. And that's the important thing, I believe. And I don't know why that part of the conversation seems to be lost, but I think people are having more conversations today than probably ever. So I think it's getting better.
Absolutely. I think here's a junction that I think oftentimes occurs, but I think the church thinks it's out of place. But I think if you follow biblical principle, we should not be having sex until we're married. But
Mm-hmm.
then if I talk about sex with a potential partner or potential spouse, and the goal is not having sex until marriage, what is the
Mm-hmm.
deal, or what is the problem? What is the negativity about me talking about sex to a potential problem? And that's a point of crossing, right? If I'm going to spend the rest of my life with this individual, at some point in the courtship, in dating, sex has to come up. It has to. Or
You,
else we are setting ourselves up for failure and long time failure. And now we've already jumped into the covenant. And that is a mistake, I feel.
I mean, I can see what you're saying with that, and I believe I even agree with that. That yeah, the conversation needs to be had. Now, again, of course, people try to use that, like, yeah, so look, this is what I want to do, and you trying to say something that's something different. But if you're just letting your spouse or future spouse know that, hey, I have strong desires, or these are the type of things I'm interested in, or whatever. Like, if y'all are able to, if maybe fiancés, maybe, because I don't know, like, when's the best time to have that conversation per se, but I think definitely the conversation needs to be had because people are walking into marriages and stuff, and then one spouse has this expectation, the other spouse has this one. Now again, I feel like God will work all the things out and stuff like that, but and I don't think He would would align us with people that uh well, I don't know, because it just really depends. It really depends on, like, I guess your walk and what God is doing in you to help you grow as an individual as well. But I agree, the conversation needs to be had. Just try to. I mean, I don't know. Maybe these conversations can be had in a group setting. Maybe just in general. That type of thing. Maybe that will help people that are dating, or with the single people, to at least get the conversations out there, and so they can know. And because I like you said, I agree, all of that is very important. I think maybe we just got to create more spaces and opportunity. Maybe that's what it
Absolutely.
sounded like.
Absolutely. And you are leading the charge in that. That's why you created this space. Because we're not, right? We're not having, how scary is that? How terrifying it is to, and you find someone, you connect with someone, a young woman praying for her love mate, her partner. God, where is he? Where is he?
Mhm.
And then he finds you, and then you get married, you do all the steps, you get married, and now you're in 50 Shades of Grey. And now it's like he got a whole room, the red room, there's bandit signs, and there's red tape, and there's duct tape everywhere, and there's, how scary is that, right? And because we're not having the spaces to talk about it, Oh, you have an addiction with porn? Okay, cool. Can we discuss that in the group, or can we discuss that here on this platform? Why not?
Mhm.
Oh, no, 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 no. Shut your Bible. What? No, close the doors. No, everybody get out. Why are we not talking about it?
I mean, you're right. I think definitely people have, different desires and different things. And so if you're getting ready to get married or whatever the case may be, people should know, like your wife or, potential wife or your potential spouse or whatever the case may be, should know, the things that you're into and stuff. Cause that could be, like you said, scary or shocking if they've never, even thought about these things. And then you're like, this is what I like. And you're like, whoa, okay, hold on. And see, I think that obviously there's compromise, communication when you get married, all that type of stuff as well. But yeah, it sounds like we need to get some, like, I don't know, some good workshops together for single people or something like that to be able to, have these type of conversations in a way that's not like compromising or hopefully, tempting to, act out anything, but more so just being open and honest about, like, what it is you desire or that type of thing. So I don't know, Lord. Are you telling me I got to get some workshops together? Like, what's going? You finna do some workshops, bro? What's happening here?
Me.
We finna team up. What's going on?
I'll do an app. I'll do a dating app. It's like swipe left if this is your heart desire. Swipe left if you're an entrepreneur. Swipe right if you're a check in a box. We have an app for everything else, but
Hey, well,
but I think it needs to be had. It definitely needs to be had. This
look, well, entrepreneurs, look, we just done gave you how many gems? Look, go forth.
You have dropped such incredible nuggets. This has been an epic conversation. This is absolutely powerful. Miss Sims, you've dropped so many nuggets this episode. If you had one more nugget in the hat, one more gem to share for that young boy, that young girl watching you right now, and their back is against the wall, they're terrified to death about starting their entrepreneurship journey, what would you say to them, that young girl, that young boy right now watching you? What advice would you give them?
I would tell them to not despise small beginnings, as they say. At the end of the day, you can start with what you have. You can, the least you can do is write the idea down. Right? You're not giving these ideas, dreams, visions for nothing. And I think we should take it more seriously, when we have these type of things. Like even us sitting here talking about this workshop thing right now, like who knows how much of a blessing that could truly be if somebody was to go for it. And if me or you or whoever, like whoever's listening to the side of my voice, if you feel pricked in your heart and mind right now that, you know what, maybe God's leading me to do that, then go do it, because you never know how much of an impact that was going to make and help and bless someone else in their life. Again, that's something that always motivated me, thinking about the person that's out there waiting for my book or waiting for my whatever, but um but understand that it's okay to start where you are, right? um Use what you got. If you don't have nothing at all, you have paper, do you have pen, do you have your phone, do you have an app, like can you make notes, like start there, and then that at least will give you something to then go forth and make next steps. Like I sometimes will make to-do lists, and just write down my visions. Like when I didn't have the money or when I didn't have this or that, I'm like, okay, well, I would like to do this, I would like to do that, I would like to do that. And the more I did that, the more I saw that I was checking things off. And so, you know, sitting, waiting, and not doing anything isn't going to help. So if you are, encouraged, inspired, and motivated to, be an entrepreneur, whatever the case may be, then start small and just start. You know, Small steps are still movement,
Absolutely.
and that's okay.
Baby steps are okay. How can people connect with you? How can people find you? How can people learn more?
Hey, well, God, Sex, and Love is the website, gossipsandlove.com. You guys can see all the different shows that's on there. We got daily inspiration. I'm doing it a little bit different now, but we got thousands of videos, tons of content. I mean, if you want daily inspiration, if you want the talk show, human trafficking survivor, amazing young lady. Her videos have been going viral on our channel, all that different type of stuff. So a lot of great content on the God, Sex, and Love YouTube. You should be able to just go godsexandlove.com to be able to see all of that type of stuff. If you want to follow me on Instagram, I'm Cultivation Coach Miracle. And yeah, man, if you want some assistance anyway, I'm like I said, a bit of accountability coach and stuff like that. I'm not going to like be a drill sergeant at you or nothing like that, because I'm learning that, people gotta, do it. I can't do it for you, but I can definitely, come alongside you. I can cheer you on. I can be there to encourage you, hopefully inspire you, things like that. But yeah, man, those are the places, those are the ways, and yeah, and we gotta have you come on the GSL Talk Show one of these days, too, sir.
I'd be honored. I'd absolutely be honored to be on your show and add value wherever I can. Thank you so much. This is epic. Epic, epic, epic. Woo. Nuggets. Nuggets. Get into action, y'all. Get it going. Change your life today. We got to let this incredible woman go. She's absolutely phenomenal, and she has many more lives to change, many more films to produce, acting, and all of the above. But thank you. Thank you for serving. Like we end every show, take care of your friends, take care of your family, and always, always take care of business. This is Marcus, your favorite gentleman, and the incredible, super fragilistic, espialidocious Miracle Sims signing off. Love you guys. Bye.
Bye.